Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
This Three Beards Media podcast may contain mature themes, and if you're not down with that, we got 3 words for you. Like the podcast. Nailed it!
Would you like to sample some of my nuts?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Old Man Strength. I'm your host, Chris Shipley. Normally my co-host Aaron Wall would be here with me, but apparently he's got car trouble. He bought a new car for his daughter and it apparently died on the way to the house. So he's currently stranded, said he'll try to be here. So I'm sure he'll hop on. So we're going to get to our guest really quick here, but I just want to tell everybody how thankful I am. This weekend for Three Beards Media, we launched a little fundraiser for a young man named AJ Gale. He is a young 8-year-old little boy who Amy from Hot Mess Happy Hour does some respite care for. And, you know, we set an initial goal to raise $3,700 for AJ's trip to Boston. He's going to have some medical procedures there later next month. And the family was worried about, the travel and the expenses. That both parents were going to be out of work and needing temporary housing. And they really needed about $3,700. So Three Beards Media was ready to step up. We did a $1 for $1 match up to $500. And then a couple of our sponsors stepped in and helped as well. Dan from Greenberry Realty committed $1,000, and then Teddy Holly and his Alpha Venture Group committed to $250. And I'm really excited to say that we were able to raise $5,600, almost $5,700 for the family, $2,000 more than our goal. So I'm really proud of that. That's what Three Beards Media here is trying to do, is to raise money for charity and give back. So I would love to see that get over 6,000. So if anybody sees this tonight and wants to give, they can go to our Twitter account. It's pinned at the top of Twitter and it's on our Facebook page as well. And we would love to see that fund get over $6,000. But thank you everybody who contributed. I got a nice note from AJ's parents who just are overwhelmed with the kindness that people have shown them. And so that's what it's all about. Listen, there were lots of times where people helped my family when we had the boys, Josh and Jordan, times when I had cancer and the kindness that I was shown. So when Aaron and I started Three Beards Media, we made it a point to make sure that we were going to give back. So, but we couldn't do that without you guys. But enough about me. It's football season, baby. It's the time of renewal. I'm a Bears fan, so I'm thoroughly convinced that Caleb Williams is the second coming of Jesus. And we're going to win the Super Bowl. And I might be more excited for the Iowa State upcoming football season here. And who better to talk to than former Cyclone who played 3 years, I think, 4 years, starter, was a consistent starter on the offensive line, and in turn parlayed that into a pretty cool career with Farm Bureau Insurance. And saved me over $2,000. We'll get to that story in a little bit here. But Colin Newell, thank you so much for coming on Old Man Strength. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. I am just fired up to be here and obviously talk cycling sports. And it's just awesome what you guys are doing, Chris, raising that money for the family to be able to take care of what they need to do. And I know you guys are doing stuff like that all the time. So kudos to you and Three Beards Media.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah. AJ's kind of got my little heart. I'll tell you a story. So AJ, Amy will send me AJ's little videos where he yells "Go Hawks" at me all the time.
Oh,
but his family, the way they help raise money is they will make these little paintings, and AJ will smear finger paint all over it, and then they'll peel back the design. And AJ made me this little "I will." So we all know AJ's a closet Cyclone fan. So that sits up here right in my office every day. So yeah, that kid's got my heart. He can say "Go Hawks" all he wants. It's not going to bother me one bit.
We all know deep down what he's thinking.
Right? Absolutely. Well, let's get into it. We're going to talk a lot of Cyclone football here, but part of what we do here, Colin, is I like to talk about who you are before everybody knew who you were, right? So where'd you grow up at? You grew up in Ames, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Ames, born and raised. My grandfather, my dad's dad, moved to Ames when he was really young, went to Iowa State. Then my parents met at Iowa State. So I was a lifer for Iowa State. So my grandpa had season tickets for football, basketball, all those things. Him and Johnny Majors were actually like best friends. So Johnny, whenever he'd come back to games, normally the Colorado game when I was growing up, he would stay with my grandpa. So I'd go over there and hang out with Johnny Majors and my grandpa. And he always told me that he'd come out of retirement and coach when I got to college. So that was when I was young. So the joke was always once I did that he's like, well, I think Coach Campbell's a pretty guy. I think he'll fill my shoes well. So it's kind of fun. That worked out the way it did. But yeah, I grew up in Ames, went to Ames High. Parents still live in Ames. Nothing but love for Ames, and super cool. Everyone asks kind of, hey, you grew up in Ames and then went to Iowa State. Is it different? What was that like? And growing up in Ames was nothing like it was going to Iowa State. Didn't drive into the same roads, didn't see the same people, anything like that. So kind of cool. But Ames certainly does have an awesome impact on Iowa State, and Iowa State does have a huge impact on Ames too. So grew up there, had an older sister. Both parents kind of worked in the community a little bit, and my mom worked at the hospital, and my dad works for the DOT now. He's a realtor when I was younger, and just did some cool things like that. But went to Ames High, played a couple sports there, and get back to Ames often.
So one of the things we like to talk about here, because it's old man strength, and this podcast initially started by me and my former host. We would talk a lot about our dads, and I would tell stories about my dad and whatever. So I always like to kind of start the conversation with what are some life lessons, or what are some hard things that you learned growing up from your dad?
Oh man, I don't even know where to start. There's so many good things. There's nothing a dad's love, but also that hard love at times can be just huge impact. Work hard. My dad always, he'd kind of lay the groundwork. So he coached hockey when I was young, and some of those hard lessons I learned is it always felt like he was a little bit harder on me than maybe some of the guys I played with. Well, he just, he saw what I could potentially be, an athlete, and just also a man. Hey, you got to do really hard things at sometimes in your life. We've all been through hard things, and some of us have been through more of those than others. But kind of being able to sit back and learn that you can listen to someone who can give you some advice and kind of push you at times is always a good thing to have in your corner.
Oh, I think we may have lost Colin here. So I think he may have some internet problems here. So let's see if we can get him back. Let's see if we can add him back here.
Oop,
there we go. Yep, there we go.
Perfect.
You're back.
Perfect.
That's all right.
No, but yeah, certainly a lot of great lessons Dad can teach you. Just persevere, push through hard things, and I can't thank my dad enough for always being there, supporting me. pushed me on those times, but he was the first guy to check in and still check in with me on, those hard days and see how my day was. He gets more excited about good days and is there on the hard days than anybody. So certainly very appreciative of the dad's love.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. I have Caitlin, who I'm pretty close with, and her and I talk every day. And being a dad, she's 24, 25. She'll be 25 in a couple months, and you still kind of look out and you still have conversations. You still kind of give them advice. She was at the fair over the weekend, and she called me, and I think she had, I don't know, 2-3 beers, and sometimes you just can't get off the phone unless you go, hey, by the way, might want to, how are you going to get home? How are you going to do this? And she's like, Dad, like, you raised me. I'm not, I know what I'm doing. I've already got plans. If I need to take an Uber, I'll take an Uber. She was already giving me like the rundown, and you always feel good that at least, hey, maybe she listened to me once in a while.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, as I've gotten older, being able to take that advice from a parent or even anybody is a little bit easier, knowing that, hey, they've been through this situation. They know what I'm going through, know what I'm thinking about, when you're young. And shoot, I'm still probably that way, but it's always hard to, not think that you know it all, but it's what parents are there for, and fortunate they love us through it.
You ever find yourself sometimes say something or do something and you go, holy shit, my dad just showed up?
Oh my gosh, too often. I know, or just anything that a parent did or anything, or people that you surround yourself, your community, you're like, gosh dang, I just sounded like whoever says that or did that. So it's kind of cool to see the impact a parent makes on you.
Yeah, I did that once. I was pitching something to somebody in work, and at work or whatever. My dad was a salesman for years, and he would always, when he'd get ready to make the pitch, he'd always put his hands together like this and kind of do one of these. And I remember I put my hands up and I started to talk, and I went like this, and I froze, and I was like, oh my God, I think I just became my dad.
That's awesome. Those stories are the special ones that you always remember, for sure. Those little mannerisms, I swear, they come up and you're like, where in the, I've never done that before, but that is something that my dad used to always do.
So your dad was heavily involved in your sports life and things like that. Growing up in Ames, you start to become a pretty good player. Was there a lot of pressure for you to pick Iowa State? Did you look anywhere else? Because I would imagine, being a hometown guy, it's pretty hard to I mean, maybe a lot of people are like, yeah, he's a shoo-in. He's going to Ames.
Yeah. It was kind of one of those things that I didn't probably know what I was capable of doing, or like how that whole process really went. I remember like the first time I talked to Coach Rhodes, who was actually the first guy to offer me when it's his final year. And like, it was cool. Still a cool story. He called me we were talking on the phone, and he was like, there's going to be some really cool opportunities. And he was just like talking about playing Iowa and like 4th and 1, like, we're going to need someone that goes out there and gets it done and things like that. So it was just kind of cool. And then he's like, well, we want you to play at Iowa State. And obviously we all know what happened after that. Unfortunately, he got fired, but in came Coach Campbell. It was just incredible. I can't say enough good things about Coach Campbell. But yeah, I would say maybe I looked around a little bit, but I always knew. I mean, I grew up sitting on the hillside. I remember Oklahoma State game. I remember triple overtime Iowa game. Grew up just sitting with the little Clone Club pass and tearing up the hills and all that stuff. So I always knew that kind of once I had figured out I was going to be able to have an opportunity to play college football, there was nowhere else I wanted to be besides Iowa State. And it ran deeper than that, and the family tradition and all that stuff. So super cool to have the opportunity. And honestly, Coach Campbell and his staff is just an incredible group of men that I can't thank enough for the time that they gave and poured into me to make me the man I am, to make me the football player I was. And just so much kind of like those mannerism type situations and just how you think about things. Like, I just can't not think about how Coach Campbell and his staff kind of like molded me into how you think and work hard and do things like that. Can't thank those guys enough.
So was 2017 your first year?
Yes. Yep. So graduated high school in 2017, and then there he is.
Hey.
Yeah, so 2017 was my first year, redshirted that year, came in. I had shoulder surgery after wrestling season, my senior year of high school. I think I weighed like 237 pounds, and like I was like by far the smallest offensive lineman, and it wasn't even close. So came into the off season and started bulking up and getting after the summer workouts, and then redshirted that first year.
Everyone, Aaron Wall decided to join the pod. It's nice for him to show up. I brought you an insurance agent just in case your kid needs some insurance on that car.
Buddy, it's been a day. You haven't said anything to me today, which makes you a bad friend. But it's my birthday.
I thought I put something in Slack today.
I went to the dentist this morning, and then I went and tried to buy my kid a 77 Volkswagen Beetle that died on the way home.
Oh, no. Happy birthday.
What's that?
Happy birthday.
Thanks. But I think it's just a fuel pump. So the people we sold it to they're nice people. They came and picked it up, and they're going to fix it. Or the people that we bought it from, they're going to fix it, get it running tomorrow, and get it back to me. So it's just a fuel pump. It's not that big a deal.
You're good.
Just not getting any fuel.
You're good.
That's the good part about those old cars. You can fix them. So have you guys talked about why we're winning 10 games this year yet?
Not yet. We're getting to it.
Okay, good.
We're learning how bad the pressure was to grow up in Ames and still go to the cycling and still go to Cyclones.
No, there was nowhere else I'd want to be. Nowhere else. I don't think there was anyone that could have come in and even talked to me that would have changed my mind on where I wanted to be or where I wanted to go. So fortunate.
Yeah, so you said you were, and I remember that them talking about you being small when you came in, and that's because you came in off of wrestling and a surgery.
Yeah, I mean, I was never that heavy in high school, really, but yeah, I had shoulder surgery right after wrestling season, after state tournament there my senior year, and I was not able to keep weight on in that time in my life, and was certainly trying to eat all I could, and obviously I couldn't really work out in my upper half, and coming off shoulder surgery. But yeah, I put on quite a bit of weight my freshman year. I think my first weigh-in was like, I remember the week before, I'm like, oh my gosh, I stepped on the scale and I was like 237 pounds. And I'm like, this is not going to be okay. I think I gained like 10 pounds over the next week. So I could at least weigh in at like almost 250 pounds when I walked into my first weigh-in, and kind of went up ever after that. So crazy experience there with the whole weight gain and being small when I was young and all that. But it was a fun experience.
So 2017, it was your first year there. You didn't play much
at all.
Man, but that season was pretty iconic. I mean, the Oklahoma game, the Jacob Park situation, which we had Tommy Birch on and heard a little bit about that. What was the mood around there that night of the Oklahoma game? And knowing that he wasn't there and Kyle's going to start, and just we heard Tommy tell the story, but now I'm curious as a player on that team, what were your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's super interesting. So I traveled to every game my freshman year, but the Baylor game.
Yeah, you lucked out not going to Waco is what you're saying.
Right. So it was kind of like a unique situation where I knew some of what was happening, but I was like running all scout team at that point. So like I wasn't really, I would see him in the locker room, I'd see him in meetings and walk by him and dinner and stuff, but I really wasn't that involved with all the game plan and stuff like that. We'd have separate scout meetings where we'd learn kind of like, hey, what's Oklahoma going to do so we can mimic it well for our defense? So that was a super unique situation where, I was probably a little bit naive, not knowing what was going on. I was still trying to figure out college and, gain weight and get stronger and become a better football player and not have Ray Lima bash my brain in all practice. And things like that. So I had my own things that I had to worry about to make sure that I was trying to help the team out and survive, I guess. So, but no, obviously everyone knows the story of Kyle and going down there. And I would say more than anything was a unifying experience. Like, hey, Coach Campbell is so good about like making experience and bringing people together, using situations and tough times to say, hey, we can lean into this, or we can spread apart and not be teams. So I think that's one of the coolest things, that every situation that Coach Campbell had, it was always, hey, how do we come back to the team? How do we do what's best for the team? And I think that was a great example, and having guys be able to step up and people come around Kyle. And obviously Kyle was a great player with incredible game and incredible season. So it was incredible to see kind of how the team came together, rallied, and made sure that the team was number one thing. So not much on Jacob Park's situation, but Jacob Park was a talented guy for sure.
Oh, I still think he was maybe the best natural thrower of the ball I've ever seen in an Iowa State uniform. I mean, it just came out of his hand, but
so quick.
It was
Rick whipped it all down the field.
So going back to that, just to back up a little bit, because I'm still thinking about 236, and so your redshirt freshman year, when you're going against guys like Ray Lima and all that in practice and doing that, do you think that was a benefit because you had to really focus on technique and leverage to be able to even hold up in practice?
Yeah,
such a lightweight.
So I had gained a little bit of weight by then. I think I was up to like 280 pounds by fall camp rolled around, 270 pounds, 280 pounds. So I'd put on like 40 pounds over the summer. Which
that's
certainly
pretty small.
Absolutely. No, it certainly was. It's one of those experiences where it's like, you kind of get knocked around, and how many times can you get back up and continue to learn that you gotta do what you want. And I think a little bit of being a Cyclone fan kind of helped me. Like, hey, I want to go out there and win. I want to go out there and compete. And we had a job to do, and very much just, hey, what are we gonna do to make sure we get out there? But yeah, it forced you to kind of learn that, hey, I gotta get put weight on, because that's gonna be one thing that'll definitely help me. And then just making sure attention to detail and giving the best scout look possible. If we were able to show a good look in practice, that would make everything easier in the game. And definitely learned that as a starter. When the defense gave a good look, it made the game a lot easier and prepared you well.
So you're moving on. 2017, you go to Oklahoma, you win that game, and then TCU comes in. You guys got to be having a little bit of confidence now. You guys are gelling pretty well there.
Yeah, that credit to all those guys that were playing, because they did a great job of like truly the belief. Like that's one thing that Campbell's always been able to get through his teams, is that belief that, hey, we can go out there and compete. And we saw that with some of the five-star culture stuff, where guys, he had us believing that we could go out there and do it, and you got a little positive momentum. There's just game after game that season where guys were bought into Campbell's system. Campbell's system was officially implemented. It wasn't year one anymore. Guys knew what they were doing. And then, it takes sometimes that, hey, we can go out there and play with these guys. It's not just we can't go play with them, we can go beat them. And definitely saw that in the Oklahoma. And there's a lot of great seniors on that squad that year that definitely took and showed, hey, this is how we do it. This is how we win. So credit to all of them for believing in Coach and just believing in themselves to be able to go out there and get this thing rolling.
I'm going to take a quick break here. I want to get a word from our first sponsor. We're going to get a word from our newest sponsor, Green Beret Realty. And then I want to come back, Colin. I want to ask you about some of the running backs that you've blocked for, which are a who's who of Iowa State NFL caliber running backs.
Yeah, right.
So, but let's get a word from Green Beret Realty and Dan Douglas, and then we'll come back. We'll talk to Colin a little bit more about some running backs.
In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
Speaking of Dan, the buy-in was obvious as fans too. It really was a culture change. I would say even in 2016, I noticed we were hanging with people late in the season. You could see things start to turn. Definitely.
Yeah, huge testament to the guys that were playing then, because that's a huge thing. Anything that you're putting so much effort to and things start to fall off the breaks, especially in college sports, we see it all the time where a team maybe starts off hot or has high expectations and then all of a sudden breaking down. But Campbell and his staff always did a great job of, hey, when things get hard, like we gotta come together, not pull apart.
Yeah. So your time blocking, David Montgomery,
Yep.
Kane. I'm
Yep.
not even going to try to pronounce. I'll butcher Kane's last name. So, Johnny Lang,
Yep.
who was no slouch, and then Brees at the tail end of your career. How hard was it to block for them, or how easy was it knowing that you only had to hold them for a little bit and they were going to slip out, especially David breaking all those tackles?
Yeah, you know what? They're all incredible guys, first of all, off the field besides the football players. So they're all great dudes, people that would show up every single day, work hard, care about their offensive line, make sure we were always taken care of, and then just what they could do on a football field and how they treated people was second to none. David was just kind of the first guy I got started with, and then you had Kane that come in for a big play, and Johnny Lang, and obviously every guy that really got back there, certainly as we were developing as an offensive line, made our lives a little bit easier. And now we're seeing on Sundays really them continue to reach their full potential, which is incredible. But all of them, they always made sure we were taken care of, always wanted to be a part of our meetings, make sure that in and out that they were thankful for us. So they certainly had a lot of situations where, maybe we made a mistake or two and they made it right, or made themselves superhuman and made some incredible plays. So they all had extreme talent for sure.
I don't know how somebody as thick as Brees runs as fast as he does.
I still remember when we went over to Kansas State and he just took off running, and it was like, there's no way anybody can catch that dude, because he is just, his strides were so long.
I know.
He's so strong. He's playing it in his home state. Like, he was gone. Still remember that play.
I mean, it's the definition of smooth when you watch him run. Once he,
it's so
just,
incredible.
it looks so easy. It doesn't look like he's trying that hard.
No, not at all.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So that season progresses then, and obviously it's a kind of a turning point season. Ultimately end up at, my brain's freezing, 7-5. Is that how we finished that? Or is it an 8-4?
2017.
8-4?
7-5, I believe.
7-5.
Liberty Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the infamous Liberty Bowl. And the upside down helmet and stuff.
Yep.
that was that year. That's right. But so you go in through that season, and obviously culture starts to change, and now you're getting into your sophomore year, redshirt sophomore year. But were the expectations, were the way the coaches behaved, did any of that kind of stuff change? Because some people get tight when there's expectations and some people don't. And by all accounts, Campbell is pretty much the same all the time. But, from a player's perspective, did you notice any drastic differences within the program once you got through that first goal of getting to a bowl and doing all that, and then what was next?
I think really what it was is like, hey, we learned we can win. And the reason that we can win is because we buy into what coach is saying, and then we work really hard and push each other. So I think for me, at least from my standpoint, it was like, hey, we just got a taste of this. This is pretty fun. Now it's like, as me trying to earn a spot too, obviously coming off a red shirt and watching those guys go out and compete. For me, it was like, hey, we got to dive in, and I got to work even harder, because we've set a standard of success. Now it's going to be on me to kind of continue to make sure that, hey, we keep this thing going in a positive direction. And we obviously had some guys that came in and made some instant impact in that following year. Mike, Brock, guys like that were coming in and making this instant impact. But yeah, it was really, hey, like, I want to get on the field. I want to play football for Iowa State. And not just wear the jersey, but actually go out there and play. So it really just kind of intensified, like, hey, we got to work harder. This proven success. This is what we need to do to make sure we take care of business. And it was really, really awesome to kind of see how we could all kind of jump in and jump on the bandwagon of like, hey, work hard and buying into what Coach says has proven to work. So let's dive in even harder.
It seems like though, and drives me crazy. It seems like we have one game a year where we're like, what are we doing? The Baylor game comes to mind where, we just seem to run out of gas. And the 2 times in a row we played Baylor at Baylor, and it just seemed like we couldn't get anything going. And then all of a sudden we're rolling at the end and we just kind of ran out of time. The Ohio game last year, there was a game in 2017 similar. Do you sometimes find just either a lack of motivation or what happens there? Because it seems like there's one game a year where I think Campbell is like what I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer for that. I'm sure everybody does a little bit, but it's never a lack of effort. Like that place is solely built on
100%
on going to work every single day, giving everything you got. It's such a unique situation, right? Like having been inside those locker rooms and knowing the struggles that people go through. Season is such a unique time because it's so time demanding. Long days, early mornings, late nights. You got school in there, you got family, you got life. People got girlfriends, and things happen in situations. But it's kind of one of those things that every single day everyone goes through those slumps. And really, I think Campbell's biggest thing was really just like, hey, how do we take these and learn from them, continue to grow, and know kind of what happens. I wish I had a good answer for you in those situations too. I can look back on my career and certainly feel like there was games where it's like, gosh dang, what was I doing here? What was going on? And we kind of all have those situations in life. Like, why did I make that decision? What did I do? So I think it's just continuing to push forward. And I think that's one thing that, for my assumptions, is just kind of watching this team this year, that I think we're going to have some of those things kind of ironed out. Some guys that are really taking some leadership roles, and then just some really, really good coaches that are going to make sure that those things continue to stay on course. But yeah, I wish I had a good answer for you. Unfortunately, I don't.
I mean, I'm not saying that. I just, first of all, after the games, I'm just like, listen, Campbell knows about 1,000 times more about football than I know. So, and nobody's worse. Nobody feels worse than you guys and the team and whatever else. But man, there are some gut punches where you're just like, God, if we could only have that game back.
Oh yeah, so, no, I definitely feel that way. Even looking back on my career, there's games where, like, gosh dang, I wish I could just have that one back and do change a couple things and change how games turn out and things like that. But
well, that's the human element of it. I mean, it's so hard to win one game, let alone every game or week in and week out, because everybody's trying to do the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's goal is the same, to line up and smash the other guy across from him into the ground and win the ball game. I mean, it's not very often when you're in a major conference, I would guess, and you tell me if I'm wrong, because I didn't play college football. But I can't imagine there were very many teams, the Big 12 teams, that you lined up against and just immediately knew that you were the superior team as far as physicality, and like everybody's got dudes.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes down to how many dudes does each team have. Like, depth and everything else plays such a role.
Yeah, there's some dudes that I played that are certainly impressive people. Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously, and he was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, and there's a ton of dudes all over the board that you're going against that are just incredible. They're gifted for sure, and obviously work for everything they got. But there were so many weeks where it's like, man, oh man, it's going to be a dogfight. Better strap it up one notch tighter, and we got to go after it. And how many times can we keep on throwing it in there and see what happens? So certainly helps when you have some guys that can go out there and make plays like I was fortunate to play with in those situations too.
All right, Chris,
take some of that pressure off.
I'm going to throw the gauntlet down at you here, Chris.
Okay.
Because I have no faith whatsoever in you.
This is the theme of the pod here, Colin.
The next time we do a charity fundraiser,
okay.
So the next one, whatever it is, I will donate $100 personally to whatever thing we're doing a fundraiser for. If you can tell me who Kayvon Thibodeau played for.
Oregon.
Oh God! I didn't think there was any chance to know. I guess I just lost $100.
Yeah.
You're the
there
worst
we go.
at knowing stuff like that. How do you know that?
Because sports trivia, I know. Don't ask me about music. Don't ask me about anything important. Sports trivia, and specifically people that get drafted, I know where they went to college. So plays for the Giants now, and he got punked in that bowl game. That's all I remember. He got stuffed in that game.
Yep.
So
we took him out of the
look, see, even Dan knows. Played Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. So
normal people know. You're not normal. So
see, Colin, this is the stuff that happens to me. This is where I get ripped.
You just made someone $100.
That's right. I did.
Good charity, right?
That's
so
right.
We're doing good.
And I'm happy to lose it. Just surprised that
100%. We had Riel Mitchell on last year, who I'm thoroughly convinced regrets to this day that he transferred from Iowa State. I swear to God, after having him on the episode, because that dude was wearing a Cyclone shirt. The amount of love he talked about for everybody on that team. But I had him describe to us when Brock came in the Oklahoma State game and took over for Kyle. So from your perspective,
Zeb, he took over for Zeb.
Yeah, Zeb. I'm sorry, you're right, Zeb. From your perspective, did you see that coming at any point? Did you think, where has this kid been the entire time?
Yeah, so that week in practice, I'm trying to remember. I think it was a Wednesday practice. We would do like some 2-minute drill situations, things like that. And Brock came in and like drove us down the field, and it was like, sweet. He's been performing all year, and then it was like, put him in that situation. That's a tough situation, and it was like complete, like just it felt normal, right? It felt like he had complete command of everything. We had a super, in my opinion, had a really good game plan. And, obviously Brock kind of came in and he just showed us, hey, I can do this. I have a little bit of swagger, complete confidence. It wasn't like someone was getting into the huddle and it was like, shaky voice or any nerves. It felt just normal. Like it felt like it was supposed to be, it felt right. But everyone was definitely kind of like, after that Wednesday practice and the practice, I feel everyone was like, yeah, we got a quarterback here who can play. He's going to be gritty. He's going to be the Iowa State culture that kind of Campbell had developed, of not quitting, but also going out there and, hey, like we're going to lay it all on the line and see if somebody can stack up with us for 4 quarters when we lay it all on the line.
I'm going to change a little bit because I was just thinking about this because we were talking about. I'm still thinking about the fact that I lost $100 and didn't lose it. I'm going to donate it to charity. But thinking about Thibodeau and obviously a freak athlete. But of the people that you played with, Colin, not against but with, who would be like? Who's the biggest freak athlete? Like, because there are guys that maybe it never really quite translates for that are tremendous athletes.
Yeah.
And sometimes those guys aren't the best players, but who's just the biggest physical athlete freak that you played with?
I would say Will McDonald. The stuff that dude could do.
It translated for him. For
sure. Like jump over a car one day and then like be doing med ball throws, and he throws it further than anyone. It was just like what he could do for being like the size he was and his explosiveness, but strength was unbelievable. I just remember there'd be plays where we'd be, throwing a screen out there and you'd think it's the corner, the linebacker, someone like that's going to chase it down, and Will's running across the field and tackling somebody and chasing them down. The combination and just the pure athleticism that dude has is unbelievable. Just got like that sack he had. It's like, oh my gosh, he put that spin move on that guy, and it literally looked like the guy didn't know what he was doing. He literally looked like he was in the spin cycle and was like kept on going. And like Will's like, okay, I'm just gonna go tackle quarterback.
I mean, the running back even half tried to chip him and missed him too.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I remember like when we'd go against him in practice every week. It was like, I'm just glad we don't have to block Will McDonald and make a game plan for him.
Oh,
yeah,
we lost him for a second.
Yeah, he'll come back. So, well, you know what? Let's take a break. We'll get a word from Revelton Distilling Company, and then when we come back, Colin's internet will be back up, and then I'm going to talk to him about 2020 expectations of 2021, and let's compare that to this year's team. So, let's get a word from Revelton Distilling Company.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
All right, and we're back. Colin, before we took the break here, I said what I wanted to do. We want to get into 2020. We want to get into this season.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you two questions here because I got called crazy on a couple episodes ago by Aaron, but Matt Van Winkle agreed with me. But yes, that's true. We'll get to that. 2020, you guys were so good, so came together. I think I've always said that season, Campbell's philosophy of being the best versions of yourselves and his culture, whatever, is what got you guys to the point where you had such a great season. And then 2021 comes around, and let's be honest, you guys had a loaded team. There was a lot of expectations. What happened in 2021, do you think, that led to, I don't want to say disappointment, because I'm on board when Campbell gave that speech and said, none of us said college playoff. None of us said that. I just want to be the best versions of ourselves. And I know he got hammered for that, but I understood what he meant, right? Like, those things will take care of itself. If we can do our best individually and as a team, those things will come. But that's not the goal. The goal is for us to just be the best that we can be. So, and he took a lot of heat for that, but I understood what he meant. But in your mind, what happened in 2021 where we didn't get there?
Yeah, we were so close in so many games, just right there, and whatever it may have been, super interesting. A lot of us had played a lot of football at that point, so there shouldn't have been situations where we came out flat or anything like that. And we just had some games where we would come out as players flat. We'd have a great game plan, things like that. And we just wouldn't get that early jump on them, right? Like we knew we were all talented. We knew we'd all won a lot of games, and it just seems like things wouldn't quite click like they had the year before for us in 2020, where we had a great team chemistry and things like that. I still to this day I don't feel like I have an answer for exactly what it was. We returned a lot of guys. We had a really good team that cared about each other. People cared about each other, had good culture. Everything was really, really sound on what should have been a great season and stacked up to be that way based off of what we returned and the guys we had who had produced. So Man, I don't know if I have a good answer for you on that, Chris, but certainly something that I still kind of have questions about a little bit.
That doesn't help me, Colin. I need to know.
I know. I wish I could too, because I feel like a lot of us, it's one of those situations where you felt like you did everything the exact same. You returned a ton of guys. You had a lot of experience. You had a lot of people that just cared about each other, and we just had a great year the year before. Still won a lot of football games. One thing I'll give praise, obviously, to the staff for is just the way that they build people, and I truly believe that. What I see in the guys that I played with. A lot of them are going out there and starting families, getting married, doing jobs that are probably far beyond what the average 25, 26, 27-year-old is doing, contributing, giving back to their local communities. And I think a lot of those things, you have to go through some tough times. And I think some of those were tough times. And Campbell always preached like, hey, it's we before me. So how can we make sure that we take care of those around us in those tough times? And unfortunately, we had to go through that experience. Obviously, still a great season. Growing up, I would have been overjoyed if I was to end a season like that. But that was kind of a unique situation where we did have a lot of expectations. I don't feel like they were far beyond what we could handle. I don't feel like it's anything like that. But I think there's learning moments and learning lessons that we were able to take out of that situation. As players and as people. And I think that a lot of us are probably better for it, and the men that we are and the way that we love Iowa State for sure.
Yeah. Aaron, I'm going to let you continue while I fix this camera issue that I have.
Yeah,
we never have issues like this. So.
So the 2020 season, great Fiesta Bowl. 2021, a little bit of disappointment. Sorry, I said it. But I'm going to throw out my theory. I think losing Dylan on the offense really hurt because he left. That's a tough position because he was asked to do a lot of things, and I think he was so exceptional at it that really hurt. It was hard to find somebody to do that again. I think they have one this year. So getting into the expectations part, I think they have a guy that can play that role a bit this year in Steve-O.
Yeah.
And do a lot of those same things. And so I think the offense will look more like 2020 this year. Expectations are not as high as they were in 21, but should they be? Is it so quiet coming out of like the information coming out of Fort Campbell is next to zero right now? And everything else. Is that because my theory is that it's because they don't want to put a ton of expectation on there, but very quietly they think they're going to be very, very good. And so it's like, we're just not going to say anything about it. Like you couldn't get away from it in 21. Everybody knew what happened in 20, and so the expectations from all the media and everything were there no matter what. And like this time they have I don't know if it's an advantage or the luxury or whatever you want to call it, to be like, yep, we're happy, we're good, and downplay it all, knowing like, what do you think is happening?
I think we're going to see a really fun team this year. I think that you're going to see just a lot of guys who've played some football earlier in their careers, and that are also then going to be combined with guys who, hey, they've worked their butts off to make sure that they get on the field, which is a super powerful position to be in as a player. Is like you got everything to play for. You want to be on the field, right? We all go to play college football because we want to be on the field. We want to make those big plays. We want to be a part of a team that goes out and does it. So I think they got a great group of players there, but then also a great group of coaches that are going to be able to really kind of elevate them and walk them through and navigate those, right? Obviously, everyone goes through situations, and hopefully you can take a piece or two from each life situation you go through to get you ready for the next one. But I think we're going to see some really fun offensive football. Obviously, we know what the defense is going to do. Coach Haycock showed that year in and year out that he's going to put a tremendous product out on the field that's going to keep us in a football game. So I think that I'm really looking forward to seeing this offensive line. They're big, they're strong, They've played a lot of football at this point, right? We're going to return a lot of guys who've played and done it and had some success. So I'm really excited, truthfully, on this offensive line. I think that's going to be a potential bright spot for what we see on the offense this year.
So the question is am I crazy? Am I crazy to be more excited about this upcoming season with the returning starters that we have, and knowing that, to me, the Big 12 is much more wide open now with these newer teams that are coming in, and we're not punching above our weight, so to speak, when it comes to teams like Texas and Oklahoma, who, I mean, let's be honest, Texas is paying God knows what to every player there, and a lot. Am I crazy to think that we have that I should be more optimistic going into the 2024 season than I was in the 2021? Aaron says I'm crazy, by the way, just so we're clear.
I don't even think that's how you phrased it when we talked about it.
Yeah, that's crazy. I don't know about that. Obviously, like, being a part of it is kind of like a different situation for me to like have that scope of reference. But I'm bought in this year. Like, I think that they're gonna have an excellent. I think we're gonna be pleasantly surprised. I think it's gonna be an incredible team. I just think that we're gonna have truly, like, dudes everywhere on the field that you look and you're like, oh wow, look at that receiver. He looks like a Big 12 football player. Like, he just looks the part. I think we're gonna look at that offensive line and I think it's gonna be like, wow, they take a huge step forward. I think Coach Clayton's incredible. I think he's really, really talented. I think he's an unbelievable person. I've been able to chat with him a couple times, and I don't see there being a way that he doesn't like take this thing and like make offensive line one of the star part of an Iowa State football team. And we just look around. I mean, Rocco returns, Abu returns. We got Steve O'Klotz. We got tight ends everywhere. We got receivers everywhere. I think that it's just going to be one of those situations offensively where we're going to see a lot of things click. They're going to be able to open it up because we've had guys play. I don't think we'll have a weak position. So it can be kind of, hey, week to week, what do we get to go out and exploit? Like, hey, what's the weakest part of their team? Well, we have guys everywhere, so we can go out and exploit whoever we want to exploit. But also, hey, like, we have our fundamentals. We know Rocco can sling the ball. We know Abu can run past anybody. We know Jalen Newell can go out there and make a play. I don't think saying you have high expectations for this year is crazy whatsoever.
That's all I need to know. I'm going to cut that little piece right there where it says Chris
I
is
have
not
high
crazy.
expectations for this year, but to say that I'm more optimistic about this year than I was for 21. That's the problem.
We had a lot of talent in 21. A lot of guys that are playing NFL football right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, before the season, you're trying to rewrite history looking back at it.
There's a lot of people talking.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There is a big difference. What you guys went in preseason top 10 that year in 2021?
I have no idea. Honestly, I would avoid like all media attention or looking at any of that stuff because it was like, hey, we got a job, we got to go work really hard. You know what I mean? Kind of that like mindset. Like, right when I was saying I was trying to get started and everyone was trying to get started is like, hey, we got to work. Like, we got here because we worked really hard, right? So we can't change up what we're doing now. So I guarantee you that Coach Campbell's making sure that that's kind of the same mindset as we come into this upcoming season too.
Yeah, the opening AP poll, they were 7th in 2021.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I have a hard time believing, Colin, you didn't know
you
you were ranked in the top 10. Come on, serious.
I really didn't follow that stuff. I feel like I knew we were top 10, but I like if you would have said what number, I would have had.
You wouldn't have no idea.
No idea. No.
All
That's
right,
what I'm talking about, Chris. With you and your shenanigans of more optimistic. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. The hype train was in full force in 21, and you were more optimistic than you've ever been as a Bears fan.
I may have been the conductor of that hype train. You're right. I may have been.
I think that we should. I think from what I've seen, I don't get on social media a ton, but I don't think that. Obviously, social media, what I see is obviously by who you follow, things like that. But I think that we're going to be extremely excited with this team. I think they're going to outperform probably what most people think. So I think that we're gonna have an excellent season. I think it's gonna come together really well. We're gonna have an excellent product that we go out there, and will be a lot of fun Saturdays.
I happen to agree. So I think it's going to be really good. I'm excited. 2 more weeks. Man, seems like it's been forever since we've had football, and I'm jacked up for it, especially with NCAA 24 out back. The EA Sports game, and like I'm probably as jacked for the beginning of the season as I've been in a little bit, and
I think
just
these guys
because like everything's back to normal.
I think these guys are lucky too, man. I wish this fall camp weather that they're getting right now, 80s, no 90s, no 100-degree days where you need the cold towels around your neck every 10 minutes while you're doing drills and practice and stuff like that. They're pretty fortunate right now.
Those young kids are getting soft, Colin.
Man, what the heck? I mean, shoot, it's 69 degrees right now. I'm looking at the temperature, and it's like, this is August 19th. Like, when has it ever been?
Right.
Not even, maybe reaching low 80s here in Iowa. Like, what the heck?
It's probably more often 100 in August than it is in the 60s.
Right?
For sure.
Unbelievable. So, they don't have any excuses to have any, tired legs or anything like that, because they're getting some fortunate weather right now.
Yeah. So,
Aaron,
sorry, go ahead, Chris.
No, I was just going to see if you have a question for the Kyle Lehman question of the pod.
I do, but let me ask this other question first. I have a separate question for that. So you've been to a few practices probably and talked to some folks around the program a little bit. Can you give us your opinion of a guy who is just going to break out this year? Like, we know the guys that were good before. Like, is there somebody who didn't play a lot, or maybe is new that transferred in or whatever? Like, somebody that's under the radar a bit to give people a hint as to, hey, keep an eye on this guy.
Yeah. I wish I could give you a good answer. I think Bramer's going to be unbelievable at tight end. I think he's like, obviously everyone's expecting the breakout, but I think it's going to be like a humongous breakout. His frame, his ability to catch the ball. I mean, just everything about watching him play football is truly impressive. I would say not just being an offensive line guy, I would say like watching that entire unit might be something that like it's like a huge step forward that the fans are going to be pleasantly surprised with. I feel like it's just there's so many weapons that we already know about.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I asked, because it's hard to, like on the offense, it's hard to think about, well, who's going to crack what position to break out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they're pretty well established. I mean, Higgins is a stud. Running backs are pretty well known commodity. Although the new guy Jackson, I have heard some good things about him.
Yeah,
that came from Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some. I think we're going to see some good pass rush this year. I think we'll get after the quarterback.
I'll be excited about that,
and that'll be something that can be a huge step forward. And I think offensive line play is going to be something that people are pleasantly surprised with. Seeing a step forward would be my probably biggest just maybe position group that I can see really doing that next level stuff.
Yeah, because if we can get pressure, or at least more consistent pressure from the D line, our D backs can go take balls all day.
Yeah,
like
we were so fortunate to have Bill McDonald being able to get pressure in a 3-down defense, and it was 3rd down, and they put 3 people on him, and he'd still get pressure on the quarterback every single play.
Yeah, he could still bend around the corner against 2 or 3 guys, and yeah, that's freak show stuff for sure.
Yeah,
but because I think if you give Cooper and Verdon and those guys a chance to ball hawk a little bit, I think we can see more turnovers if we can get more consistent pass rush. Because last year at times it was it was tough. We had to bring the extra guy, extra backer or whatever to get that pass rush. And
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I have no problem in believing in Heacock and what those guys teach and what they'll bring to the table. I mean, it's such a luxury to just say, yeah, the defense is going to be good.
Yeah, right. Doesn't matter the turnover you have. You lost TJ Tampa and some guys like that, and it's like you still got Bo's been there for forever now, and he just
seems like it. Yeah,
excellent football forever. So, I'm excited.
Yeah. While Chris is trying to figure out his deal, I'll change subjects to you. Now, I heard when I was listening to, I think it was Williams and Bloom, that you can hit the golf ball a mile. According to Bloom, you just can hit it forever, is what he said on their pod.
Honestly,
do you feel like he's exaggerating? Is it hyperbole?
I feel like he's trying to make me feel good about myself.
Because he's a pretty good golfer, from my understanding.
Oh, yeah, he'll kill me in golf. I can probably, I might be able to hit it past him every once in a while, but it's going to probably go 10 yards, like 100 yards right, 100 yards left, and then every once in a while, I'll get lucky. So my golf game this year, I'd say I've tried to tone it back a little bit, try to hit it straight, score a little bit better, but it's just not quite as fun as when you really connect with one and go down the middle. So.
I know, right? So last time we had a pod, I'd just come off of shooting my best round since I started playing again. I'd shot an 85.
Nice.
And then I went out a week later, Chris, and we hadn't talked about this, but went out a week later and played, and I had 6 pars on the front 9 and shot 10 over.
Oh my God.
The other 3 holes were just awful, just absolute implosion.
Yeah, it's like, golf's a tough game. I didn't start really playing until like after college, so I'm still kind of, I'm not like brand new, but I have my holes where I'll, par, birdie if I get lucky, and then like the next hole, like look out, it's a triple bogey, and I need to improve my golf game and a little more consistent. I'm taking a bogey every once in a while, stop the bleeding and going like that, but. Yeah, if I get lucky, I can hit it pretty far.
Oh, well, that's good. That sounds like somebody that we can play with, Chris. He's not too good for
That's
us.
That's right. I'll take it.
I like just being out on the course. It's a good way to, get out and do something. I haven't played as much this summer as I like, though, but that's all right.
I haven't played early at all this year. I've played once, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Dan gives you props. 6 pars.
I know. I think he's just being nice to me.
He is. He is. All right, let's ask our Kyle Wintrust Mortgage the question of the pod, and then when we come back, we'll get his answer.
Okay. Being that we're all Iowa State people, and I'm going to make an assumption that at some point you were out late at night in Ames and were hungry. Welch Avenue, maybe. What was your go-to spot for late night food when you were in Ames? Because Chris and I are different. There are things there now that weren't there when we were there.
Weren't there when we were there.
So this is always a fun thing to ask people about, because it's even 5 years difference between when people are there. Things change so fast sometimes.
Super Dog.
Yeah, see, I figured that was what it was going to be. And that wasn't even a thing when I was in school.
Wasn't a thing for me either.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
We had the Euro guy. And no Super Dog.
It's like, how is that good? But it always seems to taste pretty good, I guess.
Super Dog.
Yeah.
Is it still there?
See, we had the Euro guy.
Oh, okay.
When I was in school. The cart. And then Ponchero's was still on campus on Welch, and you could get the El Gordo burrito. It was a 2-pound burrito, and they were open late night, so you could pick up like a 2-pound chorizo burrito on your way home, basically.
That was like
great.
I always like Pizza Pit too. I mean, their pizza I think it's top notch for Ames. But
listen, the rumor is, and it was confirmed, that Marcus Pfizer, after he got drafted by the Bulls, drove overnight from Chicago because his wife wanted the wings from Pizza Pit, and they drove while he was in the NBA to Ames.
She was pregnant.
She was pregnant, so they're that good that an NBA draft lottery person drove 2 states to get their chicken wings. So
we used to order when it was my freshman year. We lived in Freddie Court, and there's a couple of us that were like weight gain guys, and you could get like a medium pizza from there for $5 after 9 p.m. So we'd like call it like 9:01 p.m. We're like, okay, we'll get like 4 or 5 pizzas ordered to our thing, and like, all right, we're gonna gain a couple pounds here, eat some good pizza. It's a good deal.
God,
we had
like that.
We had late night pizza was home team when I was in school, and it was like cardboard with toppings on it.
It probably tasted good at late night.
I ate a ton of it, buddy.
Rocky Rococo was the go-to. They had this deep dish pizza and had big hunks of meat on it. It was so good. All right, let's get our ad from Kyle, and then when we come back, Colin, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we'll get wrapped up here. So let's get a word from Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage.
Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman, Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546.
All right, we're back. Colin, let's talk about transitioning from football. You moved from football. You became an agent with Farm Bureau. And, I mean, I'm just going to be clear with you. You know that you've caused some riff in my family, right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, so switched over to Colin, saving me $2,000 a month, and we installed your Driveology system. Sorry, $2,000 a year. Sorry. 2000. Yeah. Colin's that good, people.
I'm sending a check
to write policies in Washington for $2,000 a month. Shit.
$2,000 a year, and we've installed the Driveology in our car. And I can't tell you how many times my wife looks at the scores and gets pissed when I got a better score than she does. It's you're causing a family rift over here because we're trying to drive so well that the fact that it registers her on her phone when she's in the passenger seat and she doesn't remember to go in and flip the switch, and then it affects her score, she gets all pissed. It's like a competition now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She's got to remember go in there and change it from driving to passenger.
See, that's what I tell her. It's not my fault she doesn't remember.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's good. That means you're driving safe and saving some money, right? There's nothing better than that. Nobody wants to overpay for insurance, so you got to make sure you can do everything you can to save those premium dollars.
Right. But no, seriously, you have a really good program there. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about it?
Yeah, so when I got done with football, I finished up my master's in family financial planning. Fortunately, was able to do that all under scholarship and everything like that, and kind of was figuring out what I was doing. And Ryan Harklaw, the sideline reporter at Farm Bureau and Farm Bureau Financial Services, and he, kind of got paired with me and kind of knew this is the path I wanted to go down and start my own business. So I'm an agency owner for Farm Bureau Financial Services and kind of, just enjoying it. And honestly, my favorite part about it is kind of getting to interact with people, right? Insurance is something we all have to have. It's kind of my goal to make sure people understand what they're paying for, especially in the current market. Everyone's insurance is going up right now. So my goal is kind of make sure that we take care of people and kind of allow them to understand what they're doing, what their plan kind of helps them with and make sure that we get them taken care of, to do what we can to protect them and their family or loved ones, whoever it may be. So it's a lot of fun. I've been fortunate to kind of get connected with some Cyclones, and it's truly the best part about it is, growing up in Ames, diehard Cyclone, every Cyclone basketball game, football game, gymnastics, wrestling, all of them I went to growing up. So to be able to work with, my people is kind of cool that they put trust in me, and certainly looking forward to continue on with this business.
Well, and you're selling yourself short too. I mean, there's been a couple times some storms have rolled in down here, and I'll get a random text from Colin just checking to see, how if everything's fine, if I need anything or whatever. So it really is like I like to do business with people that are personable like that and whatever. So it's just a really nice thing that you do. I appreciate it. And then and he was able to get the ambulance insured, which was no small task, by the way. That took a lot of work.
The ambulances are tough to insure, but we got it done.
That's right.
Oh.
No, it's fun. I really enjoy. Obviously, Cyclone fans. There's nothing better out there. Like when I think about it, that's like those are my people. So fortunate to grow up. I wear Iowa State to work almost every day. Here, people always give me grief about it, but it's kind of my identity. So it's fun to be a Cyclone and help out Cyclones.
For sure. All right, we're going to wrap up. This is our final quick segment. So this is more of a charitable segment, as we've talked about on this pod quite a bit. We do what we can to give money back and things like that. And Steph Copley was on an episode, and she famously told the host on this show, not named Chris or Aaron, to shut the fuck up so she could finally get her point across. And we thought that was so funny that we decided to make it a sponsored segment. So what we're asking is that people donate to the Young Women's Resource Center in honor of Steph. So we're going to play a quick note from Steph. And then when we come back, Colin, the theme of this is Aaron and I can't say anything, and you're allowed to say whatever you want, and we can't interrupt. So this is your chance to shit talk Iowa, shit talk Williams, tell a great story, make fun of Aaron, whatever you want to do. We're fine with that. So.
Ooh.
All right, so think about what you want to say. We'll get a word from Steph and then we'll come back.
Hey everybody, it's Steph Copley, the woman behind the STFU segment on the Old Man Strength podcast. When I told the guys I wanted to sponsor this segment, they recommended that I make a charitable donation instead, so that's what I did. I chose the Young Women's Resource Center in Des Moines, Iowa. They're a nonprofit that supports, educates, and advocates for girls and young women ages 10 to 24. Their whole goal is to make sure that these young women become strong, self-confident, and successful. And if you know me at all, you know that aligns with my goals as well. If you're interested and would like to donate, check them out at ywrc.org and donate today. And remember, don't forget to STFU and listen every once in a while. Thanks.
All right, Colin, the floor is yours.
Man, the biggest thing I would say is growing up in Ames and nobody who, I played with didn't get the same experience, whether they grew up an Iowa State fan. Obviously, we got a lot of those on the Iowa State team here. But just kind of coming into Ames and riding that bus ride in, the Spirit Walk and doing all that stuff, I think is one of the coolest things that there's nobody who the first time you go through that doesn't have their hair stand up on the back of their neck. And that's just Cyclone fans, right? That's everyone coming into game day in Ames and making it special, right? The players have put in all this hard work and to kind of see the people that come in. And that's what makes Iowa State so great. Growing up, I was that little kid that was, sitting there holding hands or trying to touch their hand or sending them Facebook messages and things like that. So I think it's so cool how Iowa State, kind of, for me, I've seen the whole way through and I continue to, be a fan and all that. So I think the coolest thing about Iowa State is the people. The people that make it really special, the staff, Coach Campbell, I can't say enough great things about him. As a person who develops people, like I said earlier in the show here, The way that Coach Campbell puts people in positions to grow and then to go out into the real world, whether it be in the NFL. A ton of guys that I played with have gone out and been successful in the NFL thanks to Coach Campbell and his staff. But he's also sent off so many people to go out and be husbands and dads and so many things like that I just can't say enough good things about his staff and his program for what he stands for. That it doesn't matter what he does or what he says or what the product on the field is for me. It's the man who he is and the man he creates. Is such a unique way because there's so many situations that you see in college football programs, whether it be NIL or just, guys getting arrested, guys getting in trouble, whatever it is. Coach Campbell sets a standard where he recruits guys that are going to fit his culture, and then he gets them around each other, and then all of a sudden you got a bunch of people who care about each other and want to continue to do great things. And then you got this Iowa State fan base that's like totally buying in with good people and taking care of each other and rooting them on and showing up no matter what happens. So I think that's the greatest thing that I love about Iowa State is the people that it is. And we got some great coaches and Coach Dresser and Otts and all those guys. Coach Fenley, who's been here for a long time. I think Iowa State is in a situation where they're going to be set up for a long time just to go out there and find success. And it's just critical that as fans and as alumni and such people that, we continue to show up and be a part of what makes Iowa State so special.
Well said. Aaron, you got anything to wrap up?
I don't think so. Appreciate you coming on, and sorry I was late.
All good, man. I hope that car gets taken care of and you can pick it up tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we'll see. If not tomorrow, this weekend after I get back from a work trip. So, I know the people that we bought it from are good people. They came and towed it back to their house, and they'll get it up and running. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, check out the rest of the podcast. We got a full lineup coming up here. We are gearing back up for fall. Fall starts tomorrow night with Bill Blank and myself, and John Miller is our guest. And then next week we start with a new episode of Side of the Storm. Ball Don't Lie comes back online. Hawk's Eye View, they're back online. So we got a full lineup here at Three Beards Media Network, ready to roll for football season. Colin, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do for me and my family. Financially, I can't thank you enough for that. Go Cyclones.
Thanks for having me, guys. Go Cyclones.